Wizara ya Maji, ambao pia ndio wenyeji pia wa mkutano huu, na Mheshimiwa Ayub kama vile ambavyo anajionea basi hivi sasa akiendelea kusalimiana na viongozi mbalimbali ambao wamepanga safu hapo kwa ajili ya kumpokea mgeni wetu rasmi hivi sasa, ambaye tunamtarajia muda mfupi kabisa kuweza kuwasili hapa. Mtazamaji, moja kati ya mambo ambayo naweza tukasema kwamba ni katika kuelekea mafanikio juu ya sekta mbalimbali hapa nchini ni mikutano kama hii ambayo inakutanisha wadau mbalimbali. Na kama utakuwa unakumbuka, pia Rais wa Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi aliwahi kulizungumza hili na kuzitaka wizara mbalimbali kuweza kuona kwamba wanakutana na wadau wa sekta ambazo wanazisimamia ili kuhakikisha kwamba kila ambacho wanakifanya katika ubora, lakini pia katika kuhakikisha kwamba wawekezaji mbalimbali wanapatikana katika kukiendeleza kila ambacho kinafanyika. Mfano sekta hii ya maji, lakini pia sekta nyingine ikiwemo afya, elimu, mazingira, ili kuhakikisha mambo yanakuwa katika ustawi ulio bora. Na ndio maana hata mwenyewe tunaona hivi sasa anajitoa kweli katika kuhakikisha kwamba haya mambo yanafanyika katika ustadi wake. Mtazamaji, tayari mwenyekiti kama nilivyokuambia awali wa mkutano huu naye amekuja na ameshafika hapa nje kwa ajili ya kumpokea mgeni wetu rasmi, ambaye kwa mbali hivi sasa tunamuona ndo anasogea hapa ili aweze kupokelewa, lakini pia kushuhudia baadhi ya mambo ambayo yapo hapa nje hivi sasa yanafanyika, ikiwemo ngoma zetu hizi za asili, ngoma ya Kibati ikiendelea kupigwa hapa, kisha baadaye basi kuweza kuingia ndani na mambo mengine ya kifuatia hapo kwa mbali kabisa. Mtazamaji, kama utakuwa unajionea basi ndio msafara huo wa Rais wa Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi Dr. Hussein Al-Hassan Mwinyi ukiwa unasogea hapa sehemu ambayo umeandaliwa kwa ajili ya rais kuweza kushuka, lakini pia baadaye protokali nyingine kuweza kuendelea hapa. Kuna kubwa zaidi basi kufika katika yale maeneo ambayo yameandaliwa kwa ajili yake, lakini pia kushuhudia ufunguzi wa mkutano huu ambapo kama nilivyokuambia awali wenye lengo la kubadilisha mtazamo wa uwekezaji wa maji safi na usafi wa mazingira hapa barani Afrika. Kuna mengi ambayo hivi sasa tutashuhudia, lakini pia tutayasikia. Huyo ndio mgeni wetu rasmi kama nilivyokuambia awali, Rais wa Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi Dr. Hussein Al-Hassan Mwinyi, taratibu kabisa akiwa anasogea katika eneo ambalo ametengewa, na pembeni hapa mkuu wa mkoa wa Kaskazini Unguja yupo akiwa ameambatana na mwenyekiti, lakini pia waziri wa maji, waziri wa uwekezaji na viongozi wengine mbalimbali ambao wapo hapa kwa ajili ya kumpokea, lakini nao brass band pia wanafanya yao hapa kiupokezi. Hoteli ya meli ya Zanzibar kiwengwa huku mkoa wa Kaskazini Unguja, lakini pia kupokelewa na viongozi mbalimbali ambao wameandaliwa hapa, ikiwemo mwenyekiti wa mkutano huu ambaye ni rais mstaafu wa awamu ya 4 wa serikali ya Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, Dr. Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete. Kumbi ndani tayari kwa kila mjumbe wa mkutano huu akiwa amekaa katika sehemu yake kusudi kuweza kusubiri basi mgeni rasmi ni kuweza kufika humu ndani, lakini pia baadaye kuweza kusikiliza hotuba ambayo ameiandaa, lakini pia kuweza kufahamu kile ambacho kitazungumzwa. Kama unavyojionea hivi sasa basi mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi Rais wa Zanzibar anaangalia hapa ngoma hizi za asili, na hii ni ngoma ya kibati ambayo ipo hapa na imeandaliwa kwa ajili ya wageni hawa, lakini pia kuendelea kuwatumbuiza waliko mbalimbali ambao wamefika hapa. Na hizi ni ngoma ambazo zinaendelea kutangaza utamaduni na uasilia wa Zanzibar. Si kibati tu, ngoma zipo nyingi kabisa, lakini ambayo ipo hapa leo hii ni ngoma ya kibati. Nitakupa fursa pia ya kuweza kusikiliza na kuona namna gani basi ngoma hii inapigwa, lakini pia inachezwa, na kuweza kufahamu basi ule utamaduni wa Zanzibar jinsi ulivyo, lakini pia wapi umetokea katika masuala haya ya tamaduni, lakini katika masuala haya ya ngoma hizi za asili. Kama vile ambavyo najionea Mheshimiwa Rais wa Zanzibar yupo hapa, lakini pia mwenyekiti mteule wa shirika hili la kimataifa la maji naye wakiongozana pamoja. Lakini hivi sasa basi moja kwa moja Rais wa Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi Dr. Hussein Al-Hassan Mwinyi ndio hivyo anaingia katika ukumbi huu ambao umeandaliwa kwa ajili ya mkutano huu wa shirika washikadau ama wadau wa ngazi ya juu kabisa kuhusu uwekezaji wa maji, na mkutano wa 15 wa shirika la kimataifa la maji, lakini wa nchi za kanda za kusini mwa Afrika.
Assalamu alaikum.
Moja kwa moja basi mtazamaji tumsikilize msema chochote ambaye ametoa taratibu wa nyimbo hii, wimbo wa taifa. Moja kwa moja basi tusikilize kwa wote.
Thank you very much. Now you may be seated. His Excellency Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar and Chairman of the Revolutionary Council. His Excellency Dr. Jakaya Kikwete, the former President of Tanzania. Minister of State, Second Vice President Office, Honorable Hamza Juma. His Excellency Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki, CEO of African Union Development, a new partnership for African development, who will be joining us virtually. Minister of Water, Energy and Mineral, Honorable Shabani Ali. Honorable Regional Commissioners, Honorable Ministers present, Honorable Ambassadors, Honorable guests from different world organizations, Principal Secretaries, Directors from different institutions, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Aisha Hussein, and it is with a great honor I welcome all of our guests to our beautiful island of Zanzibar and to the high-level Zanzibar Water Investment Conference. Our theme, Transforming Investment Outlook for Water and Sanitation in Africa. In Swahili, we have a say, Maji ni uhai, which loosely means water is life. Without water, we are nothing. Honorable guests of honor, our morning session will cover opening statements, the official launching of the Zanzibar Water Investment Program, and a group photo. Honorable President, our guests, without further ado, I welcome Principal Secretary from Women, Principal Secretary for his opening statement, Mr. Mngereza. Principal Secretary, karibu tafadhali.
Zanzibar. Moja kwa moja hivi sasa basi tupate nafasi ya kumsikiliza Katibu Mkuu wa Wizara ya Maji ambaye atatoa maelekezo hapa juu ya shughuli hii ama juu ya mkutano huu ambao hivi sasa ndo tayari umeanza katika ukumbi huu wa Hoteli Amelia Zanzibar.
Coordination, Honorable Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki, CEO of Africa Union Development Agency, a new partnership for Africa development, in short we call it NEPAD. Honorable regional commissioners, honorable ministers, honorable ambassadors, honorable guests from different world organizations, principal secretaries, directors representing different institutions, dear journalists, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. It is my great pleasure to first welcome you all to Zanzibar and to welcome you to the highest high-level Zanzibar Water Investment Conference. The water investment gap is the largest in Africa, with Southern Africa requiring most urgent action as delivering of water investment is lagging economic and social needs to meet the 2025 Africa Water Vision of water security for all. Your Excellency, the island states such as Zanzibar, Comoros, Mauritius, and others are vulnerable to climate change, as a large proportion of GDP, unemployment, and livelihood are associated with climate-sensitive activities such as agriculture, fishing, tourism, etc. Moreover, the ecosystem, coastal and marine, are vulnerable to climate change. Increasing temperature have occasionally caused sea level rise, leading to saltwater intrusion in rice farms and groundwater resources. Your Excellency, the targeted intervention and action to curb and elevate this problem through water investment to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, building resilience, water governance, and institutional strengthening, all of these needs $665 million over a 5-year period here in Zanzibar. Your Excellency, in the high-level conference, the concrete solution will be shared for investment opportunities to specific water challenges such as climate finance, global water development, private sector investment, and others. Delivering Your Excellency, delivering the impact through partnership, that is the most important thing, and we look forward at the end of this conference. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you. Your Excellency, President of Zanzibar and Chairman of Revolution Council, allow me to welcome the Regional Commissioner of Northern part of Unguja, my brother Ayub Mohammed. Welcome.
Na mtazamaji, baada ya katibu mkuu basi wa Wizara ya Maji kuweza kutoa maelezo mafupi kuhusiana na sekta nzima hiyo ya maji, baadaye basi moja kwa moja hivi sasa ni wakati wa mkuu wa mkoa wa Kaskazini Unguja naye kusema machache kuhusiana na mkutano huu.
Hili sasa hivi ndani ya mkoa wangu na hawajui Kiingereza. Mheshimiwa Dr. Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, Rais mstaafu wa Zanzibar, Rais mstaafu wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, ambaye pia ni mwenyekiti wa mkutano huu wa leo, Mheshimiwa Waziri wa Maji, Nishati na Madini, kaka yangu Kaduara, waheshimiwa mawaziri na manaibu mawaziri wote mliopo, waheshimiwa viongozi mbalimbali, nitambue pia viongozi wa taasisi hii ambayo leo hii inaendesha kongamano hili hapa kwetu, waalikwa wote, wanahabari, mabibi na mabwana, salamu alaykum. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, kwanza kabisa nitumie fursa hii kumshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu mwingi wa rehema kutuwezesha kufika asubuhi hii tukiwa wazima wa afya na kutuwezesha kufanya mkutano huu katika mkoa wetu wa Kaskazini Unguja. Pili, nitumie fursa hii kuwakaribisha wageni wote katika mkoa wa Kaskazini Unguja. Mkoa uko salama na wageni wote jisikieni mko salama katika kazi zenu hizi ambazo mnaendelea nazo hapa. Niseme tu kwa ufupi kwamba Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, mimi nikiwa mkuu wa mkoa wa Kaskazini Unguja, wananchi wa mkoa wa Kaskazini Unguja wanaridhishwa sana na utendaji wa kazi zako, na kwa kweli kasi ya maendeleo unayopiga inawafurahisha sana. Na hii inathibitishwa na mambo mbalimbali ambayo umeyafanya kwao. Na kwa sekta ya maji kipekee, umewazingatia wananchi wa mkoa wa Kaskazini Unguja hata kwa zile fedha za unafuu wa uviko 19 ulizozipata. Basi wananchi wa mkoa wa Kaskazini Unguja umewatengea fedha kwa ajili ya matangi mawili makubwa ya maji. Lakini vile vile umewatengea fedha kwa ajili ya miundombinu ya mabomba pamoja na pampu za kusukumia maji. Hiki ni kielelezo kinachoonyesha wazi kwamba unajali wananchi wako. Mheshimiwa Rais, baada ya kusema hilo pia niseme tu kwamba mafanikio yanayopatikana katika mkoa yote yanatokana na jitihada zako, na kwa kweli niseme sina la kusema isipokuwa kwa niaba yao tunakushukuru sana. Mheshimiwa Rais, mimi sitakiwi kusema mengi leo kwa sababu natakiwa nitoe tu salamu za mkoa na kwa muhtasari nimeshazitoa. Lakini hali ya upatikanaji wa maji katika mkoa wetu inaridhisha kiasi, ingawa bado kuna wananchi wengi wanaendelea kuwa na uhitaji wa maji safi na salama. Na kwa hilo niombe sana wataalamu wetu wakiwa kwenye mijadala yao wawe na mazingatio ya karibu, sio tu ya upatikanaji wa huduma maji safi na salama, lakini pia wawe na mazingatio juu ya namna ya kuitunza na kuiendeleza rasilimali maji ndani ya nchi yetu na mkoa wetu kwa ujumla. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, sisi katika mkoa wa Kaskazini Unguja shughuli kubwa ya kiuchumi ni utalii. Na kwa sababu shughuli ya utalii ni moja kati ya eneo linalohitaji maji kwa wingi, niseme tu kwamba wenzetu watakapopanga mikakati hii ya kuendeleza miundombinu ya maji safi na salama wawe na mazingatio ya karibu juu ya maendeleo hayo. Hata hivyo mkoa wetu unalenga kuwa na maendeleo makubwa zaidi ya hali ya sasa. Unakusudia kujengwa bandari kubwa za kisasa kama ulivyoelekeza. Unakusudia kujengwa miji ya kisasa kwenye maeneo mbalimbali. Unakusudiwa kujengwa viwanja vya ndege. Hii yote ikiwa ni sehemu ya kusukuma mbele ajenda yako kuu ya kiuchumi ambayo ni ajenda ya uchumi wa bluu. Ajenda hii ndiyo ajenda ya taifa na sisi kama mkoa tunaendelea kuiunga mkono kwa nguvu zote. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, baada ya kusema hayo, naomba tuniseme kwamba tunayo faraja kubwa sana na tunaridhika sana kuona kwamba kwanza mkutano huu umefanywa sio tu Zanzibar lakini mkoa wa Kaskazini Unguja. Lakini pili, kuona kwamba wageni wetu kwa muda wote ambao wamefika hapa tokea tarehe 8 na wengine kabla ya tarehe 8 wamekuwa katika hali ya usalama na hatujapata malalamiko yoyote. Mheshimiwa Rais, baada ya hayo, kwa heshima na taadhima, ninashukuru sana na asanteni sana kwa kunisikiliza.
Na mtazamaji wa shirika la utangazaji Zanzibar, aliondoka hapo ni mkuu wa mkoa wa Kaskazini Unguja Mheshimiwa Ayub Mohamed Mahmud akitoa salamu za mkoa, lakini pia akizungumza mengi kabisa yale ambayo amefanikiwa katika sekta ya maji, lakini mikakati ya kuiendeleza sekta hiyo na kuhakikisha kwamba mkoa wa Kaskazini unakuwa na ustawi bora wa maji. Mheshimiwa Ayub Mohamed Mahmud basi akitoa maelezo hayo. Lakini mtazamaji, unaweza ukajiuliza kwa nini leo katika mkutano huu Kiingereza kimekuwa kikitawala sana. Huu ni mkutano ambao basi unawashirikisha wadau kutoka shirika la maji la kimataifa. Sasa wamekusanya wadau kutoka maeneo mbalimbali na ndio maana ukaona lugha ya Kiingereza hapa imetawala kwa kiasi katika mkutano huu. Lakini tu Mheshimiwa Ayub Mohamed Mahmud ameamua kuzungumza lugha hii ya Kiswahili, na bila shaka hapo baadhi ya viongozi wengine ambao watazungumza kwa lugha hii, lakini wengine pia wakiwa wanaendelea kuzungumza kwa lugha ya Kiingereza kutokana na kuwakusanya wadau kutoka nchi mbalimbali za Afrika.
Water Investment Conference and congratulating on the launching of the Zanzibar Water Investment Program. This is a significant milestone, not only for the people of Zanzibar, but for the African Union and outer Nepal as well, since we now see concrete efforts towards the implementation of a continental agenda regarding water investment in Africa. Allow me to recognize also the leadership of His Excellency President Kikwete, who has been leading this agenda, which is a revolutionary agenda for the last years. We follow his guidance and we are sure that the commitments that we have made will be implemented. As you know, the AIP is one of the priority programs in the PIDA Priority Action Plan, PIDA PAP 2. And we are working collaboratively with GWP and other stakeholders to put in place the relevant mechanisms and instruments that will see us achieving the goal of mobilizing resources for Africa's water agenda. Just recently, we launched during the 7th PIDA week the PIDA Water Investment Scorecard, which His Excellency Kikwete has already framed and led. The water infrastructure portfolio represents 25% of PIDA PAP 2 projects. 17 projects out of 69 with the CapEx investment required for the implementation of these projects estimated at $11 billion US dollars. While there has been an improvement in commitments to water supply, population growth is outpacing this improvement. In addition, the low tariffs, the lack of local government financial capacity to support the sector, and limited ODA, MDB, and national government funds lead to very serious gaps in the water and sanitation sector. As such, among all the infrastructure sectors, water is found to have the largest funding gap. It bears noting that the largest financial commitments come from African governments, while the private sector currently shows more interest in energy and ICT. The participation of the private sector is critical if we are to transform the outlook for water investments in Africa. This is one of the reasons that the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, created the Continental Business Network, a platform to enable dialogue and collaboration between the private sector and our member states to address issues and bottlenecks impeding private investment in transboundary infrastructure projects. The Continental Business Network prepared a report on de-risking infrastructure and PIDA projects in Africa, which showed that Africa's projects were much less risky than those of other regions. Recognizing the private sector's needs to have investment backed up by relevant guarantees, NEPAD launched the African Infrastructure Guarantee Mechanism, AIGM. This was complemented by the establishment of the Africa Co-Guarantee Platform, for which the AIGM serves as the infrastructure window. NEPAD is advancing the AIGM and CGP as two interventions designed to insert the agency more effectively into the ecosystem of project development, risk mitigation, and finance, providing the African Union member states with relevant expert advisory and support, and linking them to providers of development support, risk mitigation, and finance, notably pension funds. Another mechanism that we are promoting to increase institutional investment in PIDA is the 5% agenda, which was launched under the leadership of the African Union Commission Chairperson, His Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed. The 5% agenda is a campaign to increase investment allocations by African asset owners into African infrastructure from less than 1% of their asset currently to an impactful 5%. It is interesting to learn that during the PIDA week, Kenya has established the Kenya Pension Funds Investment Consortium with the objective of working together to collectively make long-term infrastructure and alternative asset investments in the region. Furthermore, this consortium is gearing up to unlock over $1 billion of investment into this asset class based on regulatory provisions that allow Kenyan pension funds to invest up to 10% of their assets into infrastructure, and particularly into water. The 5% agenda is possible, and we call upon more member states to follow this example and put in place the relevant regulatory framework. Development partners, multilateral development bank, financial institutions need to support the 5% agenda through their current and planned programs to mobilize and twin African and their own domestic, international pension and sovereign investors in the split of delivering partnerships that support Agenda 2063 and SDG 17 and more effective deployment of infrastructure development funding. In closing, we need to strengthen our partnerships and use our respective convening powers to sustain engagement with the stakeholders that are critical for the implementation of transboundary water projects. In this regard, we call upon member states and all our partners to provide the much needed support to the AIP, the PIDA AIP scorecard, and related initiatives as we forge ahead in matching implementation to the expectations of Africa's people. I thank you.
Thank you very much for your insight, Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the President of Zanzibar and the Chairman of the Revolutionary Council, please allow me to welcome Dr. Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, the former President of United Republic of Tanzania and the Chair of GWPSA Africa Coordination Unit, to deliver his opening statement.
Your Excellency, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar and Chairman of the Zanzibar Revolutionary Council, Honorable Ministers, partners, members of the GWPSA Africa Unit Board, of which I'm the chair, invited guests, excellencies, ambassadors, and high commissioners present, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by welcoming Your Excellency and the distinguished participants to this high-level investment conference, Water Investment Conference. We thank Your Excellency for sparing part of your precious time in your very busy schedule to come and grace this conference. I would like also to use this opportunity to thank you, your esteemed government, and the people of Zanzibar for the very warm reception and gracious hospitality extended to us since our arrival in this beautiful city of Zanzibar and this great nation of Zanzibar. I'm speaking on behalf of all delegates that there is a deep sense of gratitude that they have been received very well at the Zanzibar International Airport, quite smooth. There were good arrangements for being transported from the airport to this beautiful Melia Hotel where the conference is being held. More importantly, we thank you for the wonderful conference facilities made available to us. Your Excellency, I would like to pay special tribute to the Zanzibar Ministry of Water for exemplary collaboration with us, with the Global Water Partnership for Southern Africa and the Africa Coordination Unit Secretariat in planning and executing this conference. There is a Swahili saying, usione vinaelea vimeundwa. I think they've totally translated it. But it means that when you see ships floating, know that there is somebody who took pains to have them constructed so that they continue to float at sea despite the huge weight. So this means that when you see so many good things, know that somebody worked on them, and for that, we thank your government so much. Evidently, this conference so far has been a great success because of the important contribution made by your government. Your Excellency, I would like to use this opportunity also to acknowledge, thank, and appreciate the international organizations which worked in collaboration with our organization in conceiving this conference. These include, among others, IJUMAA-11, the African Union Development Agency, the African Ministers Council on Water, the African Development Bank, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, UNICEF, UNDP, the World Bank, and the Development Bank of Southern Africa. Your Excellency, this conference has been convened in response to one of Africa's greatest challenges, facing our nations and facing the people of our continent, the problem of water insecurity. About 400 million Africans have no access to safe and clean drinking water, and 700 million do not have access to good sanitation. The social and economic sectors do not get the water they need to thrive. The water insecurity is being exacerbated by the devastation inflicted by changing climatic patterns and inadequate investments in the development of the sector. The pandemic has made the situation more complicated. The donors have devoted a lot of their money in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. That's reducing money for the water sector development. In order to buffer the people of Africa against these threats, we need to accelerate investments in climate-resilient water projects and resources. Of course, investing in water security will also be critical to achieving water security, to achieving universal health care, education, economic growth, job creation, and poverty eradication on our dear continent. It is in this regard that the high-level panel on water, convened in 2016 by the then UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and then President of the World Bank, Jim Kim, recommended in 2018, after the work of this commission, of this panel, that there was need for an African water investment program. Indeed, this recommendation was taken up by the African Ministers Council on Water in collaboration with IJUMAA-11, the African Development Bank, and our organization, the Global Partnership for Southern Africa and the Africa Coordination Unit. As a result, we now have the Africa Water Investment Program, which was endorsed by the 34th AU Assembly of Heads of State and Government on 7th February last year. Your Excellency, a follow-up mechanism, or a tool for that matter, was conceived to support countries to track progress, set benchmarks, identify bottlenecks, and take action to meet the objectives of the Africa Water Investment Program. This instrument is none other than the Africa Water Investment PIDA Water Scorecard, which was approved by the 35th Assembly of AU Heads of State and Government on February 6th this year. The scorecard is a collaborative work involving 25 international organizations under the coordination of AUDA and EPAD. There are just too many. In the interest of time, let me simply say 25 international organizations. It's a collaborative work of our organizations. Your Excellency, the other important work going on at the moment is the establishment of an international high-level panel on water investments in Africa. It's something we've been working on for quite some time now. We are almost on the verge of putting it in place. In the next 2-3 weeks, we'll have the panel announced. The purpose of this panel is to find pathways of mobilizing investments for implementation of the Africa Water Investment Program. Huge sums of money and resources are required to implement the program. The African Development Bank estimates that $64 billion would be required annually to implement the Africa Water Vision of water security for all by 2025. The African Ministers' Council on Water estimates that $30 billion would need to be invested annually until 2030 in order to meet the objectives of SDG 6 on water and sanitation. Currently, the investments on water in Africa, that is combining what the countries are contributing and the donors are contributing, is estimated to be between $10 billion and $19 billion, which means there are huge gaps to be filled. If you take the $64 billion, the gap is between $45 billion and $54 billion. So whichever option you take, the gap still remains so huge. That is why the panel, the International High-Level Panel on Water Investments in Africa, is important. But more importantly, or equally important, countries have to up their game and give water investment the importance it deserves. There is going to be mobilization, of course, by this panel. But what are we doing ourselves in our respective countries? Are we giving water the importance that it deserves in budgetary allocations? The same message also goes to donors to give due attention to water investment. The private sector also needs to take greater interest in investing in the water sector. Of course, governments of countries in Africa have to put in place friendly investment environment to attract the private sector, to give confidence to the private sector to invest in the water sector. Your Excellency, as we discussed water investments in Africa today, at this conference, we will dedicate time to discuss the Zanzibar Water Investment Program. This is a program conceived by the Ministry of Water. It's a program conceived by your government. Again, it's a collaborative enterprise of the various ministries in your government, which led to this. So we congratulate Your Excellency for your leadership. We congratulate your esteemed government for the noble decision to conceive the Zanzibar Water Investment Program. We commend the Zanzibar Ministry of Water for their work in collaboration with other ministries, which led to the conception and design of this wonderful program. Our promise to you, now I'm speaking as no local, as in the international, part of the international community. Maana kuna wakati nakuwa Tanzania, kuna wakati nakuwa wa kimataifa. Napoongoza ili dude hili la kimataifa, sio local. Our promise, JWPSA, Africa Unit, and all our collaborators, we will work closely with your government in the next steps forward to help in mobilizing resources for implementation of the Zanzibar Water Investment Program. Your Excellency, after these many words, it is now my singular honor and pleasure to invite Your Excellency to grace this conference and launch the Zanzibar Water Investment Program. Your Excellency, karibu.
Na mtazamaji wa shirika la utangazaji Zanzibar, ni mwenyekiti wa shirika la kimataifa la maji kanda hii ya Afrika, nchi za kusini mwa bara ile la Afrika, Dr. Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, lakini pia ni rais mstaafu wa awamu ya 4 wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, akizungumza mengi hapa kuhusiana na swala zima hili la sekta ya maji, lakini pia mwisho kuweza kutoa ahadi ya kushirikiana na serikali katika kuhakikisha kwamba Zanzibar inakuwa na ustawi bora. Moja kwa moja basi na mpata nafasi ya kumkaribisha mgeni rasmi wa hafla hii ambaye ni rais wa Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi, Dr. Hussein Al-Hassan Mwinyi. Tumsikilize. Mtazamaji wa shirika la utangazaji Zanzibar, ndio rais wa Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi hivi sasa basi akiwa anaekewa mambo sawa kwa ajili ya kuzungumza. Lakini moja kati ya jambo ambalo alilizungumza Dr. Jakaya ni juu ya ule mpango mzima wa maendeleo endelevu wa GWP ya mashirika la kimataifa la maji kuhusu maji na usafi wa mazingira barani Afrika ifikapo mwaka 2030, na lengo la mpango mkakati huo ni kubadilisha na kuboresha mtazamo wa uwekezaji wa usalama wa maji na usafi wa mazingira endelevu kwa Afrika yenye ustawi, amani pamoja na usawa. Ni katika mambo ambayo mwenyekiti basi wa shirika la maji la kimataifa upande huu wa Afrika, Dr. Jakaya Kikwete akizungumza. Tumsikilize sasa.
Na mwenyekiti wa bodi ya GWPSA, waheshimiwa mawaziri mliopo hapa, mkuu wa mkoa wa Kaskazini, makamu mwenyekiti wa bodi ya GWPSA, wajumbe wa bodi ya GWPSA, waheshimiwa wabunge na wawakilishi mliopo, makatibu wakuu, wageni waalikwa, mabibi na mabwana. Awali ya yote namshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu mtukufu kwa kutujalia afya njema na kutuwezesha kukutana hapa kwa ajili ya kufanya mkutano huu wa viongozi wa ngazi ya juu wa programu ya uwekezaji katika sekta ya afya, katika sekta ya maji barani Afrika. Natoa shukrani zangu za dhati kwa Wizara ya Maji, Nishati na Madini Zanzibar pamoja na Secretariat ya GWPSA kwa maandalizi mazuri ya mkutano huu na kwa kunialika kuwa mgeni rasmi. Vile vile natoa shukrani na pongezi kwenu kwa uamuzi mliochukua wa kuja kufanya mkutano huu hapa Zanzibar. Nachukua nafasi hii kuwakaribisha Zanzibar wageni waalikwa kutoka sehemu mbalimbali nje ya Zanzibar. Sina shaka kwamba mtapata ushirikiano mzuri kutoka kwa wenyeji wenu. Jisikieni mko nyumbani na jipangieni muda maalum wa kutembelea vivutio vyetu vya utalii baada ya mkutano huu. Zanzibar imebarikiwa kuwa na fukwe nzuri, mazingira ya kupendeza, historia ya kuvutia na iko salama na yenye watu wakarimu. Vile vile zipo fursa nyingi kwa wawekezaji na wafanyabiashara. Basi hakikisheni kabla ya kurejea nyumbani mnapata taarifa zote muhimu kuhusu fursa za biashara na uwekezaji hapa Zanzibar. Ndugu viongozi na ndugu wageni waalikwa, nimearifiwa kwamba mkutano huu ni muendelezo wa mikutano ya Taasisi ya Ushirikiano ya Maji Kusini mwa Afrika ambao hufanyika kila baada ya miaka miwili kwa lengo la kufahamu mafanikio yaliyopatikana katika kuimarisha sekta ya maji kwa nchi wanachama pamoja na changamoto zilizopo katika sekta hiyo. Vile vile nimeelezwa kwamba lengo la mkutano huu ni kupanga na kujadili mbinu mbalimbali za kukabiliana na mabadiliko ya hali ya hewa na tabia nchi ili kuimarisha upatikanaji wa maji safi na salama pamoja na kuyaweka mazingira yetu katika hali bora zaidi. Haya ni malengo muhimu kwa maendeleo ya kiuchumi na kijamii kwa nchi zetu. Natoa shukrani za kipekee kwa Taasisi ya Ushirikiano wa Sekta ya Maji Kusini mwa Afrika kwa kuichagua Tanzania kuwa mwenyeji wa kongamano hili kwa mwaka huu. Ni fursa muhimu kwetu sisi wa Tanzania, tukitambua kuwa kwanza wataalamu wetu wengi zaidi katika pande zote mbili za Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania wanapata fursa ya kushiriki kama tunavyoshuhudia hapa. Kama mkutano huu ungefanyika nje ya Tanzania, basi tungelazimika tuchague watu wachache washiriki kama ni wawakilishi wa wataalamu wengine. Ushiriki wetu kwa wingi utawawezesha wataalamu wetu kufaidika na uzoefu wa wataalamu wa nchi nyingine waliopo hapa. Vile vile ni dhahiri kwamba kufanyika kwa mkutano mkuu huu nchini mwetu kutafungua fursa nyingi za kiuchumi na kijamii kwenye sekta ya maji ambayo inagusa utekelezaji wa mipango ya maendeleo ya kila sekta. Natoa pongezi kwako mwenyekiti wa Taasisi ya Ushirikiano wa Uwekezaji katika sekta ya maji Kusini mwa Afrika, Mheshimiwa Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, kwa kushawishi mkutano huu kuja kufanyika Tanzania. Tunasema asante sana. Ndugu viongozi na wageni waalikwa, itakumbukwa kwamba mnamo mwezi wa Februari mwaka 2021 mkutano wa wakuu wa nchi na serikali za Umoja wa Afrika ulipitisha programu ya uwekezaji katika sekta ya maji barani Afrika kwa lengo la kuimarisha uwekezaji na usalama wa maji safi, kwa lengo la kuimarisha uwekezaji na usalama wa maji na usafi wa mazingira barani Afrika. Hatua hiyo vile vile ililenga kuhamasisha maendeleo ya viwanda pamoja na sekta zote za kiuchumi na kijamii, ikizingatiwa kwamba maji ni uhai. Ni jambo la faraja kuona kwamba viongozi wa ngazi ya juu wa nchi washirika wameanzisha fomu ya tathmini ya utekelezaji wa programu hiyo, yani AIP scorecard. Fomu ya tathmini ilianzishwa mnamo mwezi wa Aprili mwaka 2021 wakati wa kongamano la viongozi wa ngazi ya juu. Ni wajibu wa kila mmoja wetu kuunga mkono uamuzi huo, tukijua kwamba pamoja na mambo mengine, fomu hiyo itahamasisha uwajibikaji wa pamoja na kuimarisha ushirikiano baina ya wawekezaji kutoka sekta za umma na sekta binafsi. Natoa pongezi kwa waasisi wa jambo hili ambalo tunalitarajia kwamba litakuwa na manufaa kwetu sote. Ndugu viongozi na wageni waalikwa, mkutano huu kwangu mimi binafsi umekuja wakati mwafaka. Nimekuwa nikijiuliza maswali mengi kuhusu mbinu na njia bora za kufanya ili tuweze kuondokana na changamoto za upatikanaji wa maji safi na salama hapa Zanzibar, ambazo bado zinawakumba wananchi katika maeneo mbalimbali ya visiwa vyetu vya Unguja na Pemba. Ni dhahiri kwamba ili tuweze kutekeleza mipango yetu ya maendeleo kwa ufanisi katika sekta za viwanda, utalii, ujenzi wa miundombinu na kutoa huduma bora za afya na elimu, ni lazima tuwe na huduma ya maji safi na salama ya uhakika. Kwa hivyo, leo nimefurahi sana kushiriki katika mkutano huu ambao naamini kwamba utatoa uzoefu kutoka kwa wataalamu mbalimbali waliojumuika hapa ili nasi tuweze kuboresha upatikanaji wa maji safi na salama kwa wananchi wetu. Ndugu viongozi na ndugu wageni waalikwa, kwa upande mwingine, mkutano huu umekuja wakati muafaka ambapo kutokana na mabadiliko ya hali ya hewa, sehemu nyingi za ukanda huu wa Afrika Mashariki na Kusini tumekuwa na changamoto kubwa ya upungufu wa maji. Kwa hapa Zanzibar, nimekuwa nikipokea taarifa za kuendelea kukauka visima mbalimbali vinavyotumiwa na wananchi. Nimefurahi kuona kwamba shughuli hii ya ufunguzi wa mkutano imeambatana na uzinduzi wa mpango wa miaka 5 ya uwekezaji katika sekta ya maji Zanzibar, ambapo utekelezaji wake utafanywa kati ya kipindi cha mwaka 2022 hadi 27. Napenda nichukue fursa hii kuwashukuru kwa dhati wataalamu wote waliotusaidia kutengeneza mpango huu. Ni matumaini yangu kwamba maazimio yatakayopitishwa katika mkutano huu yatakuwa na mchango mkubwa katika kufanikisha malengo ya kuanzishwa kwa program hii pamoja na kuzitafutia ufumbuzi changamoto mbalimbali tulizonazo katika sekta ya maji. Ndugu viongozi na ndugu wageni waalikwa, Serikali ya Mapinduzi ya Zanzibar inaendelea kufanya juhudi mbalimbali za kuimarisha sekta ya maji hapa Zanzibar ili kuhakikisha kuwa wananchi wanapata huduma za maji safi na salama kwa uhakika. Ni mategemeo yetu kwamba mkutano huu utatupa fursa ya kujifunza kutoka kwa wadau waliopo hapa namna bora ya kuwezesha upatikanaji wa huduma za maji safi na salama pamoja na njia bora za upatikanaji wa uwekezaji katika sekta hii kutoka katika vyanzo vya kitaifa na kimataifa ikiwemo sekta binafsi. Aidha, nimepewa taarifa kwamba kutakuwa na mada juu ya uchumi wa bluu. Kama mnavyofahamu, huu ndio uti wa mgongo wa uchumi wa Zanzibar. Hivyo, ni matarajio yetu kwamba tutaweza kuonyesha fursa za uwekezaji zilizopo katika sekta mbalimbali za uchumi wa bluu zikiwemo utalii, uvuvi, bandari, usafiri wa baharini na mafuta na gesi. Ndugu viongozi na ndugu wageni waalikwa, naomba nimalizie hotuba yangu kwa kuwatakia mafanikio katika mkutano huu. Ni matarajio yangu Zanzibar na Tanzania kwa ujumla itajifunza mengi mazuri yatokanayo na mkutano huu. Baada ya kusema hayo, sasa natamka kwamba mkutano huu wa viongozi wa ngazi ya juu wa programu ya uwekezaji katika sekta ya maji barani Afrika umezinduliwa rasmi. Asanteni sana kwa kunisikiliza.
Na mtazamaji wa shirika la utangazaji Zanzibar, Rais wa Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi Dr. Hussein Al-Hassan Mwinyi tayari ameshaufungua basi mkutano huu ambao wawekezaji katika swala zima ama katika sekta ya maji, ambapo wametoa hotuba iliyozungumzia mambo mbalimbali ambayo yamegusa katika nyanja tofauti ikiwemo kwanza kuweza kuwapongeza waasisi ambao waliweza kutoa rai hiyo kuja kufanyika mkutano huu hapa Zanzibar, ambapo basi inategemewa kwamba fursa mbalimbali hivi sasa zitaweza kupatikana kupitia kwa kufanyika kwa mkutano huu hapa Zanzibar. Tuendelee kuangalia kile ambacho hivi sasa kinafanyika humu ndani ya ukumbi, ambapo kiongozwa pia na Rais wa Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi Dr. Hussein Al-Hassan Mwinyi, lakini kubwa zaidi basi ni katika kukamilisha ama tayari ufunguzi umeshafanyika, lakini pia kukamilisha baadhi ya ripoti ambazo zipo pia kutoka kwa shirika la kimataifa la maji ukanda huu wa Afrika ama nchi za kusini mwa Afrika. Tumsikilize hapa mwenyekiti kile ambacho anamwambia mgeni rasmi.
Our thinking is after some time we'll organize a donors conference to implement the Zanzibar water program. Thank you. We'll come to you soon on this. It was supposed to be done properly.
This is the way it was supposed to be.
Na mtazamaji wa shirika la utangazaji Zanzibar, baada ya mheshimiwa rais kuweza kupokea ripoti hizo ambazo zinahusu mkutano huu, lakini pia shirika hili la kimataifa la maji na mikakati yake, basi tumsikilize msema chochote kwa kile ambacho kinaendelea.
And RIS, ambassadors, international development partners, GWPSA plus GWPO plus...
Sorry to interrupt, MC.
Yes?
We'll do the photos later.
Oh, okay.
But we have messages from our partners. We have a message from the WHO, Theodoros and guys. After listening to those messages, and then we have a presentation from Professor Prudent, who has some wonderful ideas on how we can start at find. Yes. After the presentation, then we'll go for the group photos and allow the president to go and leave us now, because when you are there, we will not speak freely. And leave us now to discuss the other aspects. Briefly, we'll be here until 6 p.m., but there is going to be a lunch break.
Yes.
Don't worry. And then, of course, we'll discuss all this in greater depth, the Zanzibar Water Investment Program, the blue economy. So, so now, let's get the messages.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, asante Mheshimiwa Rais. Now we welcome the short message and video from partners. So please, welcome.
Na mtazamaji wa shirika la utangazaji Zanzibar, hivi sasa basi ni wakati basi wa baadhi ya wadau waliopo hapa katika ukumbi huu kuweza moja kwa moja basi tupate kuona kile ambacho kinafanyika hivi sasa. Basi mtazamaji,
Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends, investing in water, sanitation and hygiene is an investment in health and in all our futures. And yet, at the same time, if the need for water, sanitation and hygiene goes unmet, especially in health facilities and in underserved communities, then the risk of disease increases dramatically. WASH is a first line of defense against COVID-19 and many other diseases, such as diarrhea, cholera, typhoid, influenza, and pneumonia. It's also critical for preventing the spread of antimicrobial resistance, which is one of our biggest global threats. Without WASH services, we're inviting disease outbreaks in the front door. The risk of epidemics and pandemics increases dramatically. This fundamental science has been known for decades. And yet today, hand washing is still not available in more than 1 in 3 health facilities, 1 in 4 lack basic water services, and 1 in 10 have no sanitation. WASH is critical to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. WHO is proud to have helped develop the AIP Water Investment Scorecard, which tracks country progress and can aid the efforts of leaders to improve monitoring and response to critical infrastructure gaps. With sustainable public investment, responsible management, and accountable governance, we can make safe water, sanitation, and hygiene a reality for everybody in Africa. I thank you.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the continent of Africa has over 50 significant water basins. While the continent has enough water to cater for the needs of its population, its waters are unevenly distributed. Remarkably, 1 in 3 people in Africa face water scarcity. And over 1/3 of the population in sub-Saharan Africa lack access to basic drinking water. The continent remains water insecure due to issues related to water governance, including a lack of trust, data, and financing. Climate change is exacerbating the situation, adding yet another element of unpredictability. Look, for instance, to the River Nile basin, where climate change may mean more rain but less water due to more frequent dry spells. In most of Africa's major shared river basins, including the Nile, the Niger, the Oranje Senku, and the United Nations Development Programme is advancing the Africa Water Investment Agenda by supporting assessments, strategic planning, and implementation. Notably, UNDP is developing a sustainable financing model for the Africa Water Investment Facility. This is being advanced in cooperation with the Global Water Partnership and other partners that support the International High-Level Panel on Water Investments for Africa. This engagement is driving an important shift, allowing utility companies and water service companies in Africa to gain access to financing independently. That will allow them to invest in the infrastructure and environmental management needed to provide universal access to safe water. The potential dividends are clear. The World Health Organization, our sister agency, has shown that for every $1 invested in water and sanitation, there is an economic return of up to $34. Guided by the global goals, UNDP and the UN family are committed to working with all conveners of the International High-Level Panel on Water Investments and our partners to mobilize the resources needed to ensure safe water for all. As part of this process, UNDP is helping to produce an Africa Water Investment Scorecard that will track the mobilization of finance. The scorecard will also monitor accountability, inclusion, gender equality, equity, efficiency, and sustainability when it comes to water investments. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as we work towards World Water Day, events like these represent an opportunity to co-invest in a greener, more inclusive, and more sustainable Africa for all. Finally, I would like to wish you all a very productive conference and thank you for the opportunity to join you by means of this message.
Excellency Dr. Ali Hussein Munji, President of Zanzibar. Excellency Jakaya Kikwete, Global Water Partnership Southern Africa and Africa Coordinator, Board Chair, and former President of the United Republic of Tanzania. Excellencies and authorities participating in the High-Level Water Investment Conference in Zanzibar, Tanzania. First of all, I want to thank you, all the convening partners, for your support. You are the African Union Development Agency, the African Ministers' Council of Water, the African Development Bank, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, UNICEF, the World Bank, Development Bank of Southern Africa, and of course, the Ministry of Water, Energy and Minerals in Zanzibar, and the Ministry of Water in Tanzania for organizing this meeting. Let me start by reminding all of us that there's an urgent need to accelerate and transform the investment outlook for water and sanitation in Africa. This is true for climate resilient water investments towards water security on the continent. There's of course a need for collaboration and partnership to explore ways to unlock investments from domestic and international sources, including the private sector. In this sense, the present conference will build momentum on the AIP-PIDA Water Investment Scorecard, which has been developed through a truly Pan-African owned and led process. This led to the scorecard's formal approval at the recent Assembly of Heads of States and Government of the African Union in February of this year, just a month ago. AIP-PIDA Water Investment Scorecard will mobilize high-level political and continental leadership and support countries to track progress, set benchmark, identify bottlenecks, and take action to meet the investment needs of the region when it comes to water and the SDG 6 targets. DWP is therefore proud to have joined this effort and its development along with 25 other regional organizations, countries, and governments, not only in Africa, but also in the global north. This conference is significant as it marks the launch of the Zanzibar Water Investment Program. This is the first investment program developed under the umbrella of the Continental Water Investment Program, AIP, which is supported by the Global Water Partnership in Africa. I want to congratulate all of you and all the partners on its development, and I want to wish you a successful meeting. Thank you very much.
Dear Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. In launching the AIP PIDA Water Investment Scorecard, we are staking two fundamental claims. The first, that water is central to development. And the second, that monitoring can drive change. Few today doubt water is central to development. It is central to public health and our very well-being, central to productive economic growth, and central to sustaining the nature, which in turn underpins the availability of fresh water. It is on the second claim that I want to focus today, the claim that monitoring can drive change. Over the past 2 decades, we have seen a real revolution in monitoring tools. Thanks to technological advancements, such as satellite imagery, through the vast expansion of household surveys, and a far greater transparency in financial flows, both public and private. These tools are enabling new ways of seeing the world around us. They have spurred the use of monitoring to influence high-level political dialogue, bolster political will, and drive real change. If we reflect back on the MDGs for water, though it focused only on water and sanitation, it marked a step change in monitoring. Nationally representative household surveys generated reliable estimates that could be compared across countries, highlighting global inequities. This got politicians talking and drove investment into the sector. With the SDGs, a more multi-dimensional perspective of water is now being tracked, using even more sophisticated tools. These tools are shedding light on water resources management, on reducing pollution, on measuring water stress, and on protecting and restoring water-related ecosystems. This broader view of water's role in development has raised awareness among political leaders of how water resource quantity and quality impinge on water's availability to agriculture, mining, and cities. What the AIP scorecard brings, through its 3 pillars of enabling, financing, and sustainability, is a focus on the how. How? National institutions prepare the water sector to attract funding. How funding is flowing through the sector, and how investments are being sustained. This shifts the focus of monitoring from simply tracking change to one that encourages peer-to-peer learning across countries through African institutions such as AMCAO and the AU. This is welcomed by the World Bank, which is, as well as being a financing institution, also a knowledge bank. This is a policy dialogue that our staff, both in the water sector and beyond, have extensive experience in. And we are delighted to be part of this ongoing collaboration with all the partners of the AIP scorecard. Looking ahead, there is also another analytical contribution that the World Bank can offer to this high-level water sector policy dialogue. As we all know, climate change is water change. So water is also going to be fundamental in winning the race to help our countries rapidly and cost-effectively adapt to climate change. In this context, the World Bank has launched a new flagship Country Climate Development Report series. This looks at how countries' climate and development paths can go hand in hand. These analytics are part of a consultative dialogue on ways that countries can mitigate and adapt to the impacts of climate change. Our teams working on the CCDRs welcome the additional information that the AIP scorecard will bring to the table. In turn, CCDRs should also help inform the types of investment that need to be made in the sector, both to accelerate development and to adapt to climate change. Investing in the water sector is of course full of trade-offs, as we have to consider how a scarce resource is allocated across an economy. The CCDR will also shed light on these trade-offs and inform prioritization of water-related investments within the broader economy. With these few words, let me conclude once again that we look forward to continuing our excellent collaboration with all the partners of the AIP PIDA Water Investment Scorecard as part of our shared vision for a more secure water for all.
Excuse me, sir? Welcome.
Program Director, His Excellency Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, the President of Zanzibar and Chairman of the Revolutionary Council, His Excellency Jakaya Kikwete, former President of Tanzania and Chair of GWPSA, Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki, CEO of Order NEPAD, Honorable Ministers and Commissioners present, partners, colleagues and friends. My name is Chwene Rampele from the Development Bank of Southern Africa. Just going to deliver the message from our side as the DVSA. His Excellency, allow me to then indicate, firstly start by saying that progressive organizations are those that conceptualize ideas, work on the ideas.
Excellency President Mini, Your Excellency President Kikwete.
Okay. Let me repeat, His Excellency, to say.
Continue, Chwene.
Okay, thank you. Progressive organizations are those that conceptualize ideas, work on those ideas, and inject oxygen for execution and end up with tangible development results. I'm proud today to be sitting here, to be standing here, to be saying when we were conceptualizing this whole idea of the scorecard under the guidance of His Excellency, we actually have envisioned that one day we'll be standing and really be talking proudly about this particular kind of development. We are now over the development of the scorecard, which is a very significant start for the mammoth task of ensuring universal access to safe drinking water and sanitation for the African population. We are in the business of development, His Excellency, and to us, development impact must respond to the question, what changes are we making to the sustainability of our communities' lives and livelihoods? To this day and age, we have mastered the understanding of the challenges we are faced with in relation to our water sector development pursuit, notably that the African SDG Center in their 2020 report estimate that 63% of the population in sub-Saharan Africa struggle to access basic water services. In SADC, we estimate that the population without access to basic water services are over 39% of the population. And again, this actually signifies that there is a really greater need for us to really increase investments in the water sector itself. The challenge that the success of the development of the scorecard leaves us with us now is to ensure that we get it to the successful utilization. You see, success normally attracts, more challenges than you ever would have thought. But what we're saying as the DVS is to do so, we must at least have the following. His Excellency, we need to have a strong country ownership of the scorecard to utilize for decision-making in the water sector, including the necessary institutional changes that will open the sector for partnerships with the private sector. We're also saying that it's going to be imperative that we really deal with the coordinated and collaborative support for the development partners to customize these interventions to the peculiarities of the countries that we are engaged with. We further say that it's going to really be key that for us to have a successful implementation of the scorecard, we must enhance capacity to implement water sector programs, especially the infrastructure interventions. As our response the DPSA states its position that we need to translate sector needs into investable projects and programs via adequate project program preparation. Hence, we have facilities like project preparation facilities in essence. Instruments in-house include our SADC project preparation development facilities, climate facility funds, and indeed, we think that there is a need for a water sector focused allocation preparation fund to help unlock over the $30 billion annual investment that is needed in the continent, and that should be accompanied by a robust implementation. We started with the support with regards to the water investment scorecard through the Global Water Partnership of Southern Africa. It is our strong belief that this will significantly narrow the data gap I referred to earlier in terms of the and also improving the data integrity. The DBS's purpose is to build Africa's prosperity, His Excellency. And we think that we can only do this by driving inclusive growth and finding innovative solutions that spur economic development across the African continent. And this is inspired by our vision for a prosperous and integrated resource-efficient region, progressively free of poverty and dependency. And that's basically what inspires us to really even get involved with progressive organizations like GWPSA. Within the SADC region, we also have the SADC Water Fund, which we're really managing from our side. And we think that this particular kind of a facility is very crucial for us to really advance the increase of the investment within the sector itself. As partners, let's synergize our efforts in building on the established continental and regional mechanisms and leveraging our institutional capacities to support the implementation of the water sector investment scorecard and the deployment of innovative financing solutions. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chwene. You have the money, you have SADC Water Fund. I think we'll come to you for implementation of the Zanzibar Water Investment Program. You'll be our first port of call. Okay, the next speakers, please.
Excellency President Mini, Your Excellency President Kikwete, distinguished delegates, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to address this high-level water investment conference. At the Global Center, Excellency President Mini, Your Excellency President Kikwete, distinguished delegates, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to address this high-level water investment conference. At the Global Center on Adaptation, we know how fundamentally linked the issues of climate change and water are. So it's my honor to speak to you today on this occasion. Because as our climate changes, we will have to adapt. Sea levels will continue to rise. There will be more extreme weather events, and farmers and fisheries will be more exposed to flooding and unpredictable rain. Investing in water is critical to securing a safe and prosperous future for Africa. This conference today comes at a critical time because 4 out of 10 people in sub-Saharan Africa already lack access to basic drinking water services and account for over half of the global poor who face high flood risk. Yet, the latest report from the IPCC published last week served a stark warning. Time is running out. And it clearly demonstrated that the science is showing us how climate change is already costing lives and livelihoods, and how Africa and small island states are the hardest hit. At the invitation of the speaker, President Nasheed, last month I addressed the Parliament of the Maldives, the world's lowest lying nation. Sea levels represent an existential threat to this country later this century. But before then, the impacts of climate change will disrupt water supplies and risk crucial sources of revenue from tourism and fishing alike. They're not alone. These impacts are shared across other island nations and developing countries, particularly here in Africa. And they require bold, transformative solutions. That is why the GCA, the Global Center on Adaptation, we joined forces with the African Development Bank to design and develop the African Adaptation Acceleration Program, the AAAP. The AAAP is an Africa-owned, Africa-led response to the climate crisis endorsed by all African leaders. And it's the centerpiece of Africa's demand at the COP26 climate conference in Glasgow, and the centerpiece of what needs to be delivered in Sharm el-Sheikh. Water lies at the heart of this $25 billion initiative. We are working with partners across the continent to support authorities to accelerate and scale urban climate adaptation for cities, integrate climate-smart digital services for agriculture, create the jobs for Africa's youth in building resilience. But why is this so urgent? Well, let me give you one example. Because the annual cost of adaptation for water management in Africa and sub-Sahara Africa has been estimated as around $6 billion a year. But the annual cost of inaction, of not doing anything, is $91 billion. Over 15 times as much. This is why it's not only a human imperative, but as important, it is an economic imperative to invest in water climate adaptation. I therefore welcome the investment scorecard and this conference as a very important, valuable step towards this goal. I look forward to working with you all on this shared mission. Thank you specifically to the leadership of His Excellency President Mini and His Excellency President Kikwete on convening this important conference. I'm looking forward to working with you all. You can count on the GCA as your partner of choice. Thank you very much indeed.
Your Excellencies, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi and Jakaya Kikwete, Honorable Ministers, representatives from the Global Water Partnership, the African Union, international and regional financing institutions, key sector stakeholders, friends of water. My name is Kellyanne Naylor, and I'm UNICEF's Director of Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene Programming, based in our headquarters in New York. It's a great honor to be invited to this high-level water investment stakeholder conference and to have this opportunity to highlight the importance of investments in climate-resilient water services in Africa and the impact that these have on children. From the perspective of a child, nothing is more essential to life than water. Safe water in healthcare facilities, at home, at school, not only ensures that children can survive and grow, but also that they can flourish in healthy and productive communities. Water is a connector for so many development objectives for children, from health, nutrition, education, gender equality, to ending poverty, economic prosperity, peace and stability, a bright future. We can all agree on the importance of water, but it's still out of reach of so many. The most recent WHO-UNICEF Joint Monitoring Program analysis indicates in Africa that 2 out of children still do not have water when needed at their drinking water source, for which the consequences can lead them to travel long distances or use unsafe water sources to meet survival needs. Increasing investments in water programs is urgently needed to close these gaps, and action is needed now to walk the talk. It's in this context that UNICEF has joined the Global Water Partnership and the Africa Water Investment Program. The AIP scorecard offers a unique opportunity to highlight the key areas of investment required to track our progress towards these objectives and to recognize the efforts of countries that are making progress and providing a focus on those who may need accelerated support. To ensure the gains in access to water supply and sanitation are sustained, these investments must be climate resilient. Ensuring investments are climate resilient does not only ensure sustainable access to water services, but it can also open up opportunities for new sources of financing from climate dedicated financing mechanisms, livelihoods, skill development, collaboration with the private sector, and also better integration between water resources management, agriculture, food security, and the water and sanitation sectors. Water is essential for so many things that children and their societies need to survive and thrive. Investment for Africa at such a scale offers an incredible opportunity to learn from such initiatives and decades of development, and the potential of partnerships and collaboration at scale that we've never seen before. Thank you all so much for your time today, and we here at UNICEF are looking forward to working together to take forward the outcomes and recommendations from this important event to make this a successful venture together. This is Africa's time, this is Africa's opportunity, and we are on this journey together for this generation of children in Africa and all of those to come. Thank you.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am Sashaku Oshima, Head of Water at the UN Food and Agriculture Organization Land and Water Division. It is an honor for me to attend this high-level water investment conference. Water is an essential driver of agricultural productivity, which supports rural livelihoods, food security, and sustainable land use. The agriculture sector accounts for approximately 70% of the world's water withdrawals and 85% of the global freshwater consumption. Population growth and also their changing diets will increase agricultural water needs, and it will compete with water demand of other sectors. Already today, about 1.2 billion people live in extremely water-scarce areas, whether they're irrigated or rain-fed. Climate change is exacerbating the water challenge, increasing intensity and frequency of extreme events. Irrigation and climate-smart technology investments can help buffer climate change impacts while increasing agricultural productivity. FAO's strategy has been calling on all of us to work closely together towards a path that leads to a better tomorrow through better production, better nutrition, and better environment for a better life. The Sustainable Development Agenda 2030 stresses the importance of leaving no one behind, and this necessitates that we need to focus our attention on the rural poor. The AIP PETA Water Investment Scorecard is an important tool for ensuring water security for the millions of rural people. Smallholder farmers together as a collective feed much of the world, not mentioning Africa, but individually face repeated risks of food insecurity and malnutrition and lack clean water and sanitation. FAO must leverage all our partners and relevant stakeholders towards the attainment of SDG Goals 6 on water and 2 on hunger by accelerating investment pathways such as the AIP scorecard. In this regard, FAO has established an initiative called Smart Irrigation, Smart Wash, aimed at providing corporate solutions to enhance irrigation and provide wash services to vulnerable communities through multiple use systems that complements the AIP scorecard. Improving the health of rural communities is of paramount importance to FAO. The COVID-19 pandemic recalls the vital importance of achieving Sustainable Development Goal 6. FAO promotes this multi-sectoral approach to integrated water resources management under the One Water, One Health concept of water, which embraces the value of water in all its forms and recognizes the intrinsic role of water in protecting human, animal, and ecosystem health. Let me conclude by saying that FAO is committed to work hand in hand with our partners here in accelerating water investments in Africa through the AIP scorecard. It is time to act together, and now. Thank you very much.
Excellencies, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar, Dr. Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, former President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki, CEO of the African Union Development Agency, distinguished delegates. On behalf of the International Water Management Institute, I would like to extend congratulations and appreciation to the African Union Development Agency, African Ministers' Council on Water, the Global Water Partnership, and all those who have contributed to convening of this conference and to the development and launch of the AIP Water Investment Scorecard. Investment in water and sanitation is of such vital importance to development in Africa that it almost goes without saying. And perhaps therein lies a problem, because at times the need for investment in water and sanitation may not be visible enough. The result is that financing for water, for WASH, water for irrigation and food security, water for energy and industrial development, for nature-based solutions, falls short of what is needed. The AIP Water Investment Scorecard is therefore a very welcome initiative to to help change this, to help accelerate water investments in Africa, overcome bottlenecks, and narrow the investment gap that must be bridged to achieve SDG 6. At IMI, we contributed to development of the scorecard indicators for agricultural water management and irrigation, and we remain committed to supporting the Africa Water Investment Programme and national governments to apply the scorecard to identifying priorities, delivering data needed to make water more investable, and to tracking impacts, in particular on the livelihoods of smallholder farmers. Water investment in Africa is a critical mission, which is becoming more urgent as the pressures on water security grow and as climate change takes hold. Your dialogue on unlocking investment in water in Africa is therefore of the utmost importance, and I wish all delegates every success. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tim Wainwright. I'm the Chief Executive of WaterAid. Very timely, this conference, I think. I really welcome the gathering of global expertise as we head towards COP27 and the UN Water Conference of 2023. It's great, it's very important we get this issue to the top of both the African and the wider global agenda. At WaterAid, we agree that water and health livelihoods is a key part of climate resilience. I hope this conference reacts to finance the gap, which we see at around 200 billion a year. This is urgent. It really does need that shift of resources. It's woefully under-resourced at the moment. I'm very encouraged by recent developments. I think the Water Pavilion at COP26 was great, and also the profiling of water within adaptation within the recent IPCC report. And it's great to see the Global Watershed Partnership addressing this issue of access to finance. We're working with the GWP and other organisations in countries as part of the Resilient Water Accelerator, which is putting these ideas into practice in specific countries around the world. And I wanted to end by really thanking Dario and his colleagues who are showing a pathway, governments, donors, and the private sector to invest in this fundamental human need of resilient water. So I'm looking forward to a strong collaboration together across 2022. Thank you very much indeed.
Honorable President, Your Excellency Ali Mwinyi, Honorable President, Your Excellency Dr. Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, Honorable Regional Commissioners, Ministers, Ambassadors, Permanent and Principal Secretaries, distinguished delegates of the High-Level Water Investment Conference. It is my honor to follow the illustrious speakers before me and make this short statement on behalf of the Sanitation and Water for All Partnership hosted by the United Nations. Allow me to start by repeating what those before me have said and reiterating SWA's support to the Continental Africa Water Investment Programme and in particular to the associated AIPPDA Water Investment Scorecard. The Africa Investment Programme is ambitious in scope and commensurate to the needs of the hour, and the AIPPDA Water Investment Scorecard is the best possible tool to inform and thereby accelerate progress towards this ambition. The aims of the scorecard are fully in keeping with the strategic objectives of the SWA partnership. The scorecard has 5 aims: to guide investments in water, including water and sanitation services, to mobilize political leadership, to raise further financing, to promote mutual accountability, and to monitor progress in water investments. The SWA, for its part, is driven by 3 objectives, which are to build and sustain political will, to champion multi-stakeholder approaches, and to strengthen systems and attract new investments. So we see that this scorecard can be clearly and strongly linked to SWA's mandate, and it is thus that we are proud and happy to support it. As a part of this support, we are teaming up with the AUDA NEPAD and the Global Water Partnership Africa to engage representatives of ministries of finance on the development of the scorecard. National ministries of finance are one of the most critical actors when we consider water investments and have to be engaged strongly to transform the investment outlook for water and sanitation in Africa, which is the motto of this conference. We hope to convince and capacitate these actors on water investments to explore the current landscape of these investments and ways to improve this landscape. We hope this discussion will help ensure that the scorecard is well adapted to and well adopted by countries. Now, please allow me to highlight that the scorecard makes a case to mobilize political leadership and commitment to accelerate financing of water investments. In the upcoming sector ministers meeting, which is scheduled for May of this year, we will invite participation from the 85 SWA partner countries in the persons of their ministers in charge of water, sanitation, hygiene, climate, health, and economy. This meeting will aim to strengthen leadership, commitment, and accountability so that countries are able to resolutely place water, sanitation, and hygiene as central pillars in economic development, in climate resilience, and in health recovery. It is thus fitting that this scorecard help countries prepare for the ministerial meeting by bringing finance actors closer to water actors and therefore finance solutions closer to water needs. Conversely, the preparation for the sector ministers meeting will help disseminate and apply the scorecard in countries. We eagerly look forward to continued engagement with the Continental Africa Water Investment Program and with the AIP-PIDA Water Investment Scorecard as part of our vision of sanitation and water for all, always and everywhere. With that, thank you.
We are now finished the list of speakers. Now let's invite Professor Ruden. Tunajifunza hivyo. Muone maprofesa wakubwa hao walivyovaa. Zinahangaika kufunga kamba shingoni.
Your Excellencies, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to be here in such an assembly, and I must apologize. It took 40 million years to form what I am going to describe and explain to you, and you've given me or us 40 minutes to explain the whole thing. So I have to be brutally fast and direct. I'm joined with my colleague, Claudia Bertoni, doctor. She's here.
Stand up, Claudia.
Yes.
From the University of Oxford.
She's part of a team called the Search Model. And actually it is an inheritance, a direct consequence of the moral support given by the then President Jakaya Kikwete in Tanzania, where we were starting the Kimbiji venture, which in turn led to the Search Model, and it is growing in size and significance. And we would not have been here, at least Dr. Bertoni and myself had it not been for this support. And history will be kind to us, Your Excellency. History will be kind to us. There will be more on this later here. We are not water talkers, we are water doers. So we, again, I'll apologize for the directness of my speech, but it is in the service of water supply, so I hope for forgiveness.
Professor, no.
Okay, so you can see what we got here. It's all about climate change. Climate change, not the climate change that has been described up and down a number of times today, but climate change of times past. Because we have in the front of our doorstep here on Zanzibar, maybe towards east and definitely towards the west, large reservoirs. These reservoirs were not part of, they are enormous, large affairs that have been dry land for much of its geological time, not as we see them today. And these climate fluctuations, which is a part of our past, they are called Milankovitch cycles, is seen here. The sea level goes up and down because of all the ice that accumulates in my home country. So the more ice in the Arctic, Antarctic, the less seawater. So the level drops. It goes up and down, up and down. It's gone up and down 41 times. So climate change is nothing new. But in this case, we benefit from the climate changes, and that is new. And mind you, again, brutally direct, not a drop of the water that we will describe here in the next few minutes, may I add. Yeah, this is much better. Can we turn it on? Hello? Yeah.
Don't worry. We are all ears.
Okay. I'll be without the mic for a few seconds.
No, you need a simultaneous translation.
Oh, sorry. Are we ready? Yeah. Thank you. These fluctuations have been the engine that has driven water into the reservoirs that are on all sides of this island, not only Unguja, but Pemba. As we will see with clarity on the three-dimensional models that we will present, there is a potential like nowhere else. I will show you okay, this is no, that is the wrong way. Okay, this is Unguja today, this island. This is Unguja 8,000 years ago. And as some of you know, but not all of you, the groundwater here in Zanzibar also is the host for fish, stonefish, live fish, catfish. So if you drill a well here, and I talked to a driller 10 years ago, he was retired by then, but he could explain to me the problem of drilling and pumping because the pumps get clogged with fish. That's highly unusual in a drill borehole. And this was freshwater fish that came swimming from the mainland during these periods of time. So the puzzle has been explained. This reservoir is huge. It consists of sand and marl, clay, down to astounding depth of 7,000 meters. That's almost 10 times the Kimbichi. This is big stuff. These, as you can see here on the right picture, this reservoir is presently being fed by the subsurface flow of main rivers flowing into, hydraulically connected to these reservoirs. And why do we know that? Yeah. As part of the preparations for the Kimbichi project on the mainland, we discovered that some complaints by the IJUMAA oil drilling crew at the well Ras Machuizi in the channel in 1976, complaints about freshwater inflow diluting their drilling mud, freshwater under pressure. And freshwater gives different signatures on the drilling mud, and it complicates the life of the petrophysicists logging the wells. And that was the first indication that there is water on the fresh water here, and it just snowballed. And now into some solid geology here again, courtesy of TPDC. These were publicly available at the time, so I am not infringing any copyrights or revealing any state secrets here. They are actually taken from the internet before it was taken down from the internet. Don't send your lawyers on us now, because this is in the service of water. If you look at these profiles here, the number 2 is the middle one is actually the most interesting because it runs right through this assembly hall in the middle, and it's a kind of an uplift, a horst. But the yellow here is the potential aquifer. And if you add all of it, it's about 7,000 meters. And it gets a few centimeters every year, courtesy of Wami and Ruvu rivers supplying sand to the surface and water to the subsurface. It's a beautiful system, and not a drop of this water is included in any of the UN publications on the world water reserves. So this is, I have a devilish pleasure of ruining the statistics in this way on your behalf. We have so much to go through, and time is short, so it's life. This is the overview, just to explain what I just mentioned. The Wami and the Pangani rivers, also Ruvu. These 3 tributaries have an enormous catchment area for 2 commodities: sand and water. Sand and water constitutes the reservoir between the islands and the mainland, and the same thing is between Pemba and the mainland. And now I am in danger of being detained here and not see my family on Saturday, because I will not have any word on who will manage this water, because it can be used on both sides of the channel, I think. Sure. Thank you. I will This is for the water doers among you, the geologists, and also I will, my new from western province of Zambia. We have had so many fruitful discussions on these matters. This is a log. This is the smoking gun, if I may call it that, showing the presence of water in the channel. And from where the whole thing started 12 years ago. And its history, because it's creeping up the coast. We are now having our largest project ever, the entire country of Somalia, I'll show you, using the same recipe, the same search model as we have developed on basis of the Kimbiji. So it's historic in many ways, actually. Okay, this technical stuff, and we are at your disposal anytime off hours here, just maybe refreshment and some food in between, but we are totally at your disposal in the service of water. I remember 42 years ago, I embarked on a career as a hydrogeologist and driller, and my bank manager said, "Is this a good idea? Your customers are the poorest people on the planet." So I said, I might do something about it, so I changed bank. Here is another glimpse now from just to pre-educate you before you see the three-dimensional models. And this is big stuff. I did some calculations. I'm not giving you discrete figures from this place, but the Kimbiji aquifer could supply my country, the Kingdom of Norway, 5 million people, for about 1,000 years. So if you ever consider when we are drying up, could you please consider sending some drops up to our place?
How do you dry up with all the ice?
The climate change, all the ice melts, you know. It runs into the sea and is gone. Yeah, I'm running a bit fast through these things because the tool chest for the search model are, we have several tools, and the most important tool that we are using is the oil-related information. Data, information from previous oil exploration. And in this case, everything is based on seismics between the wells and deep well logs. And that is the basic for the Kimbiji aquifer. And when you sprinkle it with hydrology, we have designed a very high resolution algorithms for recharge of rain. And we'll show you how that works in practice. We have very advanced tools that kindly have been supported to us from the arch enemy and friend, closest friend, the oil industry. The thing is, with the oil industry, they have been drilling and doing all these things for generations, but they had never, ever leaked, and that's the right word, leaked, any information to the civil society about water-related issues. They've been drilling in water all the time, and that's bordering to immorality. We're doing something about it, and this is an example. The TPDC was outstanding in this case and giving us access to all information. That is one of a kind in this business. Usually they keep the information close to their chest. Okay, we are surging along here. One of the interesting things that emanated from the Kimbiji was this. If you look at the upper diagram, there I'm unable to point here with this, but there's a blue and red lines on the presentation here, and that is the outer boundary of fresh water, which means you can take a ship, you can travel out 20 kilometers out into the middle ocean, you hardly see land, you start drilling and you will get fresh water. That is close to juju. But it is actually the case. So the Kimbiji Aquifer, the least part of it is on land, and the bulk of it is under the Indian Ocean. This is where you get the water from. And this is, your bank account is enormous, and in lean years you can borrow water from this and replenish it if you want. And you can even out the adverse effects of climate change. Droughts can be eliminated by using water from this bank account of water in between. So, now I'm close to becoming a water talker again.
So we are not water talkers, but water doers.
Yeah, I see to my, well, I'm very happy I saw SADC investing in Kimbiji. I saw a feature a week ago. That's fantastic. Let's get some better drillers and let's complete the job. That is fantastic. Zanzibar is in the same situation. We have lots of this is just small things. Now, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, we will revert to another platform, and it cannot be copied and handed out easily because it is an active, dynamic 3D platform, and I'm just going to hook up and make it ready for you if you forgive me. While I fish out this one, there's a sad paradox here. It's a water paradox, and it is while people are suffering and sometimes tragically dying to lack of water. I know a little bit about it because I think I've worked on most of the catastrophes that hit Eastern Africa over the last 40 odd years, is the proximity of water. I have seen people tragically die for lack of water, and the water is only 2 meters away from them, under their feet. And this is a general feature. Now I need my glasses. Somalia. It is, but it was the previous picture. Let me... I have a slight problem here. I apologize for the hiccup. Okay, yeah, here we go. Sometimes technology totally overwhelms you. Why are we not getting this up on this main screen? Fundi, Tafadali? It's not PowerPoint. I want to get rid of the PowerPoint. It's that one. That one, yeah, yeah. No. No, it's that one. That's the program. Get this one out. Yeah. You know, what works last night does not necessarily work the day after. I apologize for that. No, it's just this one. Yes. And then why is this one not... Claudia usually has magic hands on this, these computer programs. But,
Is technology failing us?
No, we are failing technology, I'm afraid. Okay, could we ask for a small recess here while our Fundi is trying to help us? Just a few minutes. I'm sure the public needs a little rest anyway. Would that be okay, Abazit?
Well, I think let's have it organized. We can take a break, take the photos in the meantime, and see how you organize.
Thank you.
But the important thing is, after this presentation, GWP would like to talk to you.
Yes.
And see how we can work together to come up with a specific program on how to puncture the ground surface and get that water for Zanzibar.
Perfect. I'm going nowhere.
Yes. I think that's not a...
Yes.
Maybe let me brief you. When I was president, I visited Norway, and the Norwegian government organized for me to go to NORAD offices, where the professor briefed me on the existence of this huge groundwater, huge aquifer of fresh water underground. And this fresh water runs from Kimbiji on the mainland and up to underneath the Zanzibar island, the Unguja island. So that's why when we were preparing for this conference, I remembered this guy. We reached out to him. He was surprised that I still remember the story. So that's why we asked him to come and do the presentation. He's still saying that there is a lot of groundwater, fresh water underneath. So, and he was saying is, this is something they got from the people who were searching for oil. That as they were going underground, strangely they were coming up with fresh water. And fresh water was complicating their results because they depend on the mud to really to determine if there is any possibility of oil underground. But of course, he's talking about very deep. It's about 7,000 meters. It's going 7 kilometers underneath. But don't worry, those people searching for oil go up to 4 kilometers. Searching oil for a gas, they drill up to 4 kilometers underneath. So we'll have to go another 2 or 3 more until we reach that aquifer. So I think the most important thing is the message, that he's confirmed what he told me the other day. So what I'm simply saying is that we'll look at ways of commissioning the professor and the doctor there from Oxford University. They will work with GP, GPWSA, GWPSA, and let's have a special project as part of the implementation of the Zanzibar water program, if we can really get fresh water from Banana. So I think this is it. So, Professor, I think if it is question of being hired, you are hired. You are not fired for not for the technology. Yes, you are hired now to come and work with Zanzibar government. Yes, and to come and work with the Zanzibar government as part of implementation of the Zanzibar Water Investment Program. And if we can really get the water from undersea, then I think that solves the Zanzibar water problem for many years.
I am speechless, not quite. I have to recover from this. While I do that, I can inform Your Excellency that this has developed during this decade that we've been working.
Yes.
Based on the Kimbiji, and we are no longer alone. We have a world community behind us, academic,
yes,
in all senses, all aspects of it.
They want to bring everybody who is working with
you. We
want to bring everybody who is working with you on this particular project of the fresh water undersea, under the island of Zanzibar. Let's see if we can puncture the subsurface and take that water out to benefit the people of Zanzibar.
And we will...
I think that's a good plan.
It is a good plan.
It is a good plan. Okay, yes, thank you. Yes. Nadhani tumelimaliza vizuri. Sasa hapa amemwita na fundi, naona Kiswahili amekikumbuka. Fundi imeshindikana. Amemwita profesa mwenzake pale, mama yule imeshindikana. Sasa mashine zinafaa. Lakini jambo la msingi ni hilo, kwamba yako maji chini ya ardhi, fresh water, na sio hadithi. Ni maji ambayo wale watafutaji wa mafuta wamekutana nayo. Sasa tunachotaka tuone namna ya kuyatumia yale maji kwa ajili ya kutatua tatizo la maji Zanzibar. Sisi katika GWP organization yetu tutafanya kazi pamoja hapa, tutaona namna tutatafuta pesa tu za bwana kufanya kazi hapa, project maalum kwa ajili ya kufanya kazi hiyo, halafu tuone kama tunaweza tukapata jawabu la tatizo la maji Zanzibar. I'm using the other frequency now. I'm now becoming local. I stopped doing international, I become local, very parochial maybe. But I think that's it. That concludes, I think, we go for the photo opportunity, and we can allow the president to leave. Yes, he is very busy. But we'll be coming back here after the photo opportunity. We'll have a coffee break. We are going nowhere. We are coming back, and now starting the work on the meeting of today. If the professor is ready, we will listen to him. Okay. Thank you.
Na mtazamaji wa shirika la utangazaji Zanzibar, baada ya kuwasilishwa mada tofauti hapa zinazohusiana na tafiti mbalimbali, lakini pia mikakati ya kuweza kuhakikisha bara la Afrika linakuwa katika ustawi bora wa maji, lakini pia hata Zanzibar, kama vile ambavyo mwenyekiti amekamilisha katika presentation mbalimbali ambazo zimefanywa hapa, ama uwasilishaji ambao umefanywa hapa na wadau tofauti ambao wamefika katika ukumbi huu. Kinachoendelea hivi sasa, mtazamaji, ni picha ya pamoja ambazo zitapigwa hapa baina ya meza kuu na wadau mbalimbali ambao wamefika hapa. Kisha baada ya hapo basi, kama vile ambavyo mwenyekiti amezungumza, Dr. Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, tamruhusu mgeni rasmi kuweza kuondoka katika ukumbi huu. Tumsikilize msema chochote kwa maelekezo ya zoezi hilo.
GWPO and GWP Tanzania. The first photo will be sponsored, one representative from each sponsor list, which I will announce, and the last photo will be Local Organizing Committee. Thank you very much. The first photo, please make your way to the high table, which is board members of GWPSA. Thank you very much.
Na mtazamaji wa shirika la utangazaji Zanzibar, ni maelekezo hayo kuhusiana na picha ambazo zitapigwa hapa, ikiwa picha nambari 1 ndio hiyo ambayo inakwenda kupigwa. Lakini tuendelee kusikiliza pia maelekezo kutoka kwa msema chochote. Lakini wakati picha zikiendelea kupigwa, mimi wacha ni kupitishe kuhusiana na GWP ama shirika la kimataifa hili ambalo linashughulikia swala zima la maji. Huu tunaweza tukasema kwamba hili ni shirika la hatua ya kimataifa ambalo lina zaidi ya mashirika 3,000 na washirika katika nchi 179, na kazi kubwa kabisa mtazamaji ni kuendeleza utawala na usimamizi wa rasilimali za maji kwa maendeleo endelevu, lakini pia yenye usawa. Sasa hilo ndo shirika hili la kimataifa la maji ambalo leo basi katika mikutano yake ambayo inafanyika kila baada ya miaka miwili. Leo hii mkutano huu umefanyika hapa Zanzibar, kama vile ambavyo mpata nafasi ya kumsikiliza mwenyekiti. Huku nikikufahamisha hayo, huku picha mbalimbali zilikuwa zinaendelea kupigwa katika ukumbi huu wa Melia Hotel huku maeneo ya Kiwengwa. Na nikwambie tu mkakati wa maendeleo endelevu ya shirika hili wa mwaka 2020-2025, mkakati ambao umezunduliwa na katibu mtendaji wa shirika hili Dr. Monica, una lengo la kusimamisha ustawi wa maji kwa takriban nchi 60, ambapo zaidi ya watu bilioni 4 wataweza kunufaika na mkakati huo wakati utakapokamilika. Tuendelee kuzitizama picha hizo ambazo hivi sasa zinapigwa, lakini pia tutaendelea kuangaza na yale ambayo yanahusiana na shirika hili la kimataifa la maji. Lakini kwa upande huu wa Afrika ama shirika kwa upande huu wa Afrika kuna programu mbalimbali ya uwekezaji wa maji Afrika ambayo ina lengo la kubadilisha na kuboresha mtazamo wa uwekezaji wa usalama wa maji na usafi wa mazingira endelevu kwa Afrika yenye ustawi, amani na usawa. Lakini pia inalenga kuhamasisha uwekezaji wa maji kuelekea utekelezaji wa mpango wa maendeleo endelevu, yani SDG namba 6 kuhusu maji na usafi wa mazingira kwa upande wa bara hili la Afrika ifikapo mwaka 2030. Na hayo yote ni matokeo ya ngazi ya juu kabisa ambayo mkutano huo ulifanywa mwaka 2016 kuhusiana na maji, ambao uliongozwa pia makuhudhuriwa na rais wa Benki ya Dunia. Kwa hiyo mambo ambayo yanaangaziwa hapa ni swala zima la ustawi wa maji, lakini mbali ya bara la Afrika pia Zanzibar kwa ujumla, kama vile ambavyo umepata nafasi ya kumsikia Rais wa Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi Dr. Hussein Al-Hassan Mwinyi, vile ambavyo amezungumza kwamba mkutano huu umekuja wakati muhimu ambao serikali hivi sasa inaendelea kujenga mikakati imara katika kustawisha sekta hii ya maji, na imani ya serikali ni kwamba kupitia mkutano huu basi watendaji mbalimbali wa serikali watapata taaluma, lakini pia kuweza kujifunza baadhi ya mambo ambayo yatastawisha sekta hii ya maji hapa Zanzibar. Bado picha zinaendelea, na hivi sasa ni picha za wadau, lakini pia washirika mbalimbali ambao wamefanikisha basi mkutano huu. Lakini nikwambie tu lengo kuu basi ni kuweza kubadilisha mtazamo wa uwekezaji wa maji na usafi wa mazingira barani Afrika, kama vile ambavyo tunavyoelewa kwamba maji ndio kila kitu. Rais Dr. Hussein Al-Hassan Mwinyi alizungumza hapa kila ambacho tunahitaji kukifanya kwenye uwekezaji, kwenye afya, kwenye chochote kile, basi unakuta maji anachukua nafasi kubwa kweli kweli. Sasa katika kufanikisha hilo ni wakati wa kuhakikisha kwamba maji yanakuwa katika ustawi ulio bora, ili kuweza kuwapa nafasi hata wawekezaji ambao wanakuja kuwekeza hapa, lakini pia kunyanyua zile sekta ambazo ni kipaumbele kwa serikali katika kufanikiwa, lakini mwisho wa siku kuweza kuleta maendeleo kwa wananchi na kutoa huduma bora pia hapa nchini. Tuendelee kuangalia ama kusikiliza utaratibu wa picha namna unavyokwenda hivi sasa, na ukiwa kingoni kabisa kumalizia, pamoja na kuweza kumruhusu basi mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi kuweza kuondoka katika ukumbi huu.
We have one representative from each of the sponsors mentioned. Thank you very much. Thank you. Next, please, the sponsors that I have mentioned: Drop of Zanzibar, PBZ Bank, Zanzibar Utility Regulatory Authority, Zura, United Petroleum, Crash Consultants, Zanzibar Electricity Corporation, ZECO, CRDB Bank, Mega Engineering, and Larsen Tubo, L&T. May we have one representative from each of the sponsors mentioned. And last but not the least will be the local organizing committee. Please be on the standby. Local organizing committee, which will be our last photo for today. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, thereafter, we'll have presentation of awards to the gold sponsors. Local community. Local organizing committee, it's your time now. The last photo. Thank you very much. And thereafter, we are having awards presented to the gold sponsors, who are Zura, ZECO, Larsen and Tubo, Drop of Zanzibar, Mega Engineering, and CRDB. Thank you very much. I'm in this photo.
Na mtazamaji wa shirika la utangazaji Zanzibar, ni kuambie tu huku picha zikuwa zinaendelea, naamini kudondolee baadhi ya vitu. Tarehe 5 Novemba mwaka 2019 washirika hawa wa shirika la kimataifa la maji kusini mwa Afrika walimtangaza mwenyekiti mpya wa shirika hilo upande wa nchi za kusini mwa Afrika na Africa Coordination Union, Mheshimiwa Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, rais wa zamani huyo wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Kwa nataka ni kudokozee hilo na nikwambie wakati ambao Dr. Kikwete basi amekamata nafasi hii ya uwenyekiti ulikuwa ni Novemba 5 mwaka 2019, na hivi sasa kwa upande wa kusini huku mwa Afrika basi yeye ndio mwenyekiti, na kama vile ambavyo leo alipata nafasi ya kumuona ama pia kuzungumza mwelekeo na mikakati yao katika kuliweka swala zima la maji katika ustawi ulio bora, lakini hata kwa Zanzibar pia. Tuangalie hivi sasa basi ama tushuhudie Mheshimiwa Rais wa Zanzibar akikabidhi tunzo hizi kwa washirika na wadau mbalimbali.
Corporation. Next will be Larsen and Tubo. Please be on standby. After Larsen and Tubo, we have Drop of Zanzibar. Please be on standby. Drop of Zanzibar. Next is Mega Engineering. Drop of Zanzibar. Next is Mega Engineering. Last but not the least from the gold sponsors is CRDB Bank. Please be on standby. Mega Engineering. Next is CRDB Bank from gold sponsors. Thank you very much for your support to make this happen. We appreciate. Asanteni sana. May we excuse our guest of honor. Your Excellency, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate your presence. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, a quick announcement. Before we break for lunch, we have a press conference at Africa House number 2. If you could find Miss Maureen, who will direct you to where Africa House is before the lunch, and Minister, Principal Secretary, and Mr. Alex from GWPA will be on this press conference. Media, please find Miss Maureen, the lady in green, who will direct you to where the press conference Africa House is. House number 2 for press conference right now.
Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi tayari ameshaondoka katika ukumbi huu, na nikukumbushe tu baadhi ya mambo ambayo aliyazungumza. Mmoja alisema kwamba mkutano huu utatoa fursa basi ya namna bora upatikanaji wa maji, lakini pia katika upande wa uchumi wa buluu alipata nafasi ya kugusia kwamba wataweza kuonyesha fursa zilizomo katika sekta hiyo. Baada ya yeye kuweza kufungua na kuondoka, kutakuwa kuna mapumziko mafupi ya upataji wa chai, lakini pia baadaye wajumbe wataweza kurudi katika kuendelea na mkutano na mada mbalimbali zitaendelea kuwasilishwa. Kutoka hapa katika ukumbi wa Melia Hotel Zanzibar, mimi sina la ziada. Nikwambie tu matangazo haya yameongozwa na Mzee Yusuf, lakini niliyekuwa nikikufikishia kila ambacho walikuwa kikiona ni Masud Juma. Sina la ziada kwa niaba ya wote waliofanikisha, akiwemo wapiga picha, lakini pia mafundi sauti na wengineo. Nikutakie utazamaji mwema wa ZBC na kwenu huko Karume House.